Well, howdy diddly dandy there, chum. So today I want to talk about the grey aliens. I did a video the other day on the different types and different species of aliens that are the most talked about. So there was four, and one of them, the first one that I covered off, was the grey alien. And people have said that they would like to know more, at least bring across some of the information, some of the videos that I've seen online and what I know about these creatures so far. So if you want to see my whole video on the different species of alien, I put a link up there. But this is just a deep dive into the grey aliens, grey alien interviews, retrievals and recoveries, crashed craft, all that sort of shenanigans. Let's get into it. So when you jump on over online and you try to find out where grey aliens first come from, they're also referred to as Zeta Reticulans, and they were first said to have been inside of the Roswell crashes. There's also depictions of a grey alien with Aleister Crowley, who was an occultist, and when he drew a picture of a demon that he made contact with, it looked just like one of these, and he called it Lamb. But yeah, they kind of made popularity inside of conspiracy circles when Barney and Betty Hill were abducted in New Hampshire in 1961, and that was sort of like the precursor to a lot of science fiction type movies around featuring grey aliens, was their abduction account. So this here is the depiction that Aleister Crowley done of Lamb, one of the demons that he's said to have contacted, which is one of the probably the earliest renditions of what one of these aliens could look like. I mean, this is back in what, 1895 or whatever. No, hold on, this is 1917 when it was depicted this way. So it makes you wonder just how far back this has had and how much influence it has had on pulp culture and what we see these aliens as looking like. So there's quite a lot of different takes on what these aliens look like, with the eyes being positioned higher up. There's also carvings and ancient artifacts that are sort of like illustrate these grey aliens, if you like. There's also a lot around the Majestic 12 and remote viewing and all sorts of other stuff, and the EBs that have been recovered from crash sites, which we'll get into as well. So this is an interview with Betty some many years later where she describes the alien that they encountered.
Your encounter and things that they fail to mention. Either they fail to mention when people think about the UFO incident with you and Barney, and what are some myths that you'd like to dispel about that? If you can think of any liberties. I've learned some stuff, for instance, tonight. I always thought that they were almond-shaped entities with the alien. You said no, they were very much human-like. They spoke to you verbally as opposed to telepathically.
Inside of her hypnosis session, she just referred to them as people, as men. She didn't refer to them as aliens, from what I could tell from the hypnosis.
And we had a great time.
And you had a great time?
And if you wait a minute, I'll go get Junior so you can see what Junior looks like.
Okay, sure, absolutely.
So this is where she's going to go get this sort of like head thing that they've carved or whatever.
Oh, God. Yeah.
There we go. She's got it in her hands now. But this
Another
is kind
thing,
of
I never called them aliens.
years later. Yeah,
What
she
did
never
you
called them
Astronauts.
aliens.
I called them what they were. Astronauts.
Sure. That's what they are.
Right. So
Well, she
this
called
is
them men,
Junior.
actually.
Now, this is a sort of a composite of what they look like. There's individual differences. They do not look alike. There's as much difference among them as there is around any group of people. But this basically shows the characteristics. The larger eyes, nose, mouth, no protruding part, no hair. But this is because he fell off the podium in St. Louis.
Oh.
And cracked his head.
Oh, okay. But he's okay though. But he has a pronounced brow ridge.
Yep.
As you said, a pug nose, more or less a very small orifice for a mouth. And actually, instead of whites, actually have yellow eyes and eyes. I see irises and a pupil.
We put the yellow in
Okay.
to emphasize them.
I was going to say he needs Visine or he looks like he has malaria, but okay. But,
Okay, now, Junior has been evaluated by I don't know how many physical anthropologists, but what he looks like now, if we continue along the path of evolution, this is what we're going to look like in 25,000 years.
Right, okay.
And
Now, what she says there, that's what we're going to look like in 25,000 years. If you think of how long we've been on the Earth so far, and what fossil records show ancient man to look like to what we look like now, I really don't think that's the case. I mean, we're proving that human civilization actually went back further, if you're believing what Graham Hancock's uncovering. I honestly don't think in 25,000 years we're going to look like that. I don't think we're going to shrink. I don't think we're going to get larger craniums. Unless I'm mistaken, I think we're going the opposite way in actual fact. I think we're de-evolving, if anything, right now. You see, this is how she describes them before. She doesn't say astronauts. She says men. So this is the actual hypnosis, the tape, not so long after the abduction. There you go. It's hard to understand anything she says.
2 men.
2 men.
There's a car door, and there's 1, 2, 3 men. And then
1, 2, 3 men.
2 more behind them.
Yes.
She describes them as men. I don't hear her say about almond eyes and short with higher craniums. Nothing like that sculpture she shows in a future interview. So I'm a little bit dubious even about the Betty Hill and the Hills take, to be fair. Barney and Betty. Yeah, John, so one of the most famous crashes is the Roswell incident. The crash out in New Mexico, where they apparently recovered some crashed UFOs and also the occupants of those UFOs. And one of those UFOs actually contained some bodies that was still alive, and one of those was like the EB type alien that got taken into Area 51, and that's where a lot of these alien interview videos have surfaced from. When I say alien interview videos, I think some of them have been put out there as hoaxes based off the back of all this sort of stuff, but there are lots of other crashes, lots of other UFO crash sites and similar stories out there, and it's usually the same beings that we see at these crash sites, these smaller humanoid looking guys with big heads, big eyes, and some sort of speculate that they could be future versions of us. And these crafts, these UFOs, I mean, we're trying to make similar now. Could it be that they are future versions of us? But then we've got the whole paradox then of if these aliens came back in time, then how do we get their crafts to reverse engineer them? And it throws all sorts of manner of weirdness out there, doesn't it, when it comes to time loops and paradoxes. But anyway, I'm going to be showing you the best clips that I have found of grey aliens. I mean, this is one of them. I had it playing in the background a moment ago. But is it CGI? Is it real? Is it fake? Is it a puppet? We're going to be deep diving into all of that today, chums. Okay, chums, so this is quite a famous video. It's supposedly an alien interview. Now, I can't play the actual video because it will get copyright flagged. Now, this down here says DNI, which is Department of Naval Intelligence. Funny enough, when it does get claimed, it's not by the Department of Naval Intelligence. It's not by any government agency. It's by a company called Super BAM Inc. Now, if they did get this and smuggle it out of the government and it's highly classified, the last thing you want to do is go and claim it and stick a copyright on it, because if the government do want to come after you, they're just going to say, oh, Super BAM Inc. owns this. Let's go and find out who submitted it to them. Let's find out who owns the original and let's bang them up in prison. This, for that reason, the fact that it's being claimed by Super BAM, to me, says it's a massive hoax in a roundabout way. But I think that they've put this out as disinformation because it looks so fake and it looks like a blatant puppet in the way that it moves and all that sort of stuff. I honestly do think they did manage to capture an alien grey and did interview it, EB. But I don't think this is it. I think this is put out there to make people feel a bit of a laughing stock. I mean, I probably might be able to play a couple of seconds of it so you can see it animate a little, but it's very puppety in the way that it moves. Next up is this one, which doesn't get copy flagged, and this one I find really interesting for the actual dialogue that they have with this alien entity. I mean, yes, this looks, again, it's supposedly EB from that crash. I mean, it's a well-known alien. A lot of people have talked about the alien that's been found at this crash site, an EB. But this one is actually saying that it's from Earth and it's from our future, as you can see from the dialogue, the snippets under there, and they've come back with a message for us in a roundabout way. I really like the dialogue for this one, but this was an art project done by somebody. It's all CGI, and they're quite straightforward with what they have to say about the way that they put this together, and it's brilliant. It's brilliantly done, but it is a fake. It's a fake, so it's not real footage of an alien interview. Okay, so the next alien grey footage that I wish to share with you has actually been posted by a channel called Ivan0135. No one knows who this person actually is or much else other than they're Russian. That's pretty much all we know. And the actual footage that they've put up, to me, is probably one of the most convincing of all the grey alien videos. Now I'm just going to hit on this, here we go, and it's already muted, which is fine. But it comes up with a whole load of sort of dialogue first, saying where this tape was taken from, etc, etc. But the alien in this one, it blinks, and to pull this off, if this is some sort of mechanical alien face that they've put together using latex and mechanical workings, this is almost on par with what Hollywood would do. It's pretty darn freaking epic. I mean, the film grain, everything, the stamp, it all looks kind of legit for the actual era that it's been filmed in. I mean, this looks like it was done in Cinecam, but you see the way that the eyes move, and also look at the size of the neck and its positioning. It doesn't look like it's a puppet. This thing looks fairly realistic in proportions to the face and all that. It doesn't look like somebody wearing a skin suit, is what I would say. And the way that they're measuring them and all that sort of stuff, it feels it adds to its validity. There's quite a few videos on this channel, and the fact that we don't know who this person is kind of adds to the air of mystery. Very interesting stuff. There you go, let's just skip this on a bit until we get to the actual footage. I think this is just a response, actually. This is just text about, you know, what's gone on and how he came into possession of this stuff. Then there's one here that's more sort of in colour, and this is where the aliens all get to meet each other again or something. But yeah, 1942. So you've got to think of the sort of the amount of film that they had back then. This would have been the best they could have actually done back then, really, when it comes to film standards. So, you know, it's not like the HD cameras of today or anything like that. And where's the actual footage? Here we go. And it starts right towards the end of this one. But this to me feels a little bit more legit than the alien interview that we saw before. The only thing is, what I would say is it's very out of focus. It's sort of like zooming in and out. If you did want to document this, you would probably do a little bit better with the way that you hold the freaking camera. You know what I mean? Again, it adds to the shadiness of it all. It adds to the fact that maybe it's not hard evidence that you can trust. So when it comes to actual captured footage of aliens, these are probably the best examples that you're going to find online. And when I say the best examples, they're not that great, you know? Now, I did show footage earlier of the alien called Skinny Bob that the Russian had uploaded, and when you hear how these children describe the aliens they saw in sort of like black jumpsuits and being quite small, large heads, this one is pretty darn interesting. Now, this was at the Ariel School in Rwanda back in 1994. So hear what they've got to say here.
Over there on the log.
Yeah?
And then we saw something shiny, so we all ran down over there.
And it was in the early morning?
It was at break time.
Yeah?
And then we saw something shiny. And we saw two people. They were in tight black suit. And they had big eyes. And we didn't actually see their nose, but it was quite small. And their mouth was quite small as well. One of them was running in slow motion up across the ship, and the other one was standing beside the ship.
Yeah, you made a drawing, huh? It looked like this?
No, yeah, something like that. I couldn't see the eyes or the nose or the mouth. It was just blank, like a piece of paper.
Mm-hmm.
So these aliens were moving in slow motion. It was very hard to see the features, but they've all got very similar sorts of accounts. Then a UFOologist went to the school and went and spoke to these children, and he kind of conveyed ideas that these aliens actually spoke to the kids and told them that they were there to warn of global warming and global changes, and a lot of their narratives all sort of changed and things got added that weren't in this original interview, which then puts this whole thing in question. But if you go by the original interview before the UFOologist turned up, this is quite a convincing story, especially when you overlay it with that footage that's been uploaded by the Russian chap that I gave you earlier. So that's pretty much everything that I have for you. I mean, if you've got any other stories about the grey aliens, please stick them inside of the comments. But for me, the jury is out on these creatures. Until we've actually got hard, concrete proof that is actual evidence, then it's very difficult to latch onto this. But at the same time, so much of the grey aliens have hit pop culture now and the sci-fi sort of genre that people kind of, as soon as you say alien, this is the first thing that they normally think about, other than Ripley Scott's version or whatever, or H.R. Geiger's sort of artistic rendition of Alien and Aliens. But this is the sort of forefront of what people would picture an alien to look like. And I have to admit, it has been overly saturated now in our movies, to the point that now when you see something like this, even if it was real, you go, that's CGI, mate. CGI! Freaking CGI! So until one actually comes and stands up and addresses the world that they're actually here, I don't think people are going to believe in these, thanks to sci-fi and thanks to pop culture and or some CGI type renditions like this one, you know. But anyway, people, sound off in the comments, like I say, let us know. Until next time, goodbye, and goodbye again.